Okay, welcome to the Queen Anne's County Commissioners meeting. This is a public hearing that is being aired live on our local cable television station, QACTV 7. These media broadcasts provide county citizens an opportunity to watch and participate in our scheduled public meetings. In addition to our live audience this evening, we are providing remote options for citizens to watch this meeting this evening. Citizens may watch our meeting live on our website at qac.org/live or on our television channel, Breezeline Channel 7 or Channel 507. We acknowledge everyone's participation, and by attending, you acknowledge that this session is both recorded and aired. Press and public comment will be taken and is limited to 3 minutes per person. If you do care to speak, please sign the sheet on the information table just outside the door here. Comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing for the Commissioner's review. We will now stand and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Commission President Jim Moran. All right. Still some more seats over here if anybody wants to sit down before we get started. Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm Todd Mon, the County Administrator for Queen Anne's County, and the purpose of our hearing this evening is to present the County Commissioner's proposed FY 2025 operating and capital budgets. So I have all 5 of your County Commissioners, my County Commissioners right here, to chair the hearing. So we have, going down the line here, we have Commissioner Jack Wilson representing District 1, Commissioner Phil Dumanel representing District 3, Commissioner Jim Moran, our at-large commissioner, Commissioner Chris Corcorino, District 4, and all the way at the end we have Commissioner Patrick McLaughlin representing District 2. So I have a short presentation that provides a high-level overview of our proposed FY 2025 budget. There are a lot more details about the budget on our website at qac.org. On our webpage, and the link is shown on the bottom of this screen here, and there are some additional handouts if you want to take one of those with you, but you can find all the details and the entire budget on our website at your convenience. Following the presentation, we will be receiving public comment, and I know we have about 20 or 25 signed up already, so if you haven't signed up yet, please feel free to do so. And so we'll present we'll go through the presentation now. So Commissioners, do you want to move in the front or you want to sit up there? Whatever you're comfortable. Okay. All right. Can everybody hear me okay? I know we got this microphone. It's really for the TV audience. So, all right. So, just a few introductory remarks. Our objective is always to provide sound financial management to deliver responsible public services to the residents with a conservative and balanced budget, which is what we have here this evening. We aim to continue to invest in public safety, public education, preservation of all essential public infrastructure, and our committed workforce to deliver these services. This budget reflects the recommendations from our Spending Affordability Committee, which include compliance with policies on debt management, maintenance of a healthy rainy day and fund reserves, use of fund balance and PAYGO funds that reduces our capital debt, and to maintain a strong financial condition with long-term capital planning. And our budget is consistent with our coveted AAA bond rating, which we still enjoy. Some highlights: our tax rate remains the same as the prior 2 years at 83 cents per $100 of assessed value. The income tax rate also will remain the same at 3.2%. We do have budgeted growth this year over FY24 of 4.1%. So we are increasing our operating budget from $183.6 million this year to $191.2 million in FY25. On the revenue side, the income and property tax makes up 87.9% of our total county revenue sources. Income tax revenue is projected to grow by about 3.3%, and our property tax revenue is projected to grow by 6.5%, both over the FY24 amounts. This slide shows our real property tax rate, actually all the real property tax rates by county jurisdictions in Maryland. You can see we're the yellow bar all the way towards the lower end of the scale at 83 cents. We're only bested by one other county, that's Talbot County, but we are now the second lowest real property tax rate in the state of Maryland. And you can see all the way on the other side of the chart, Baltimore City, well over $2 per $100 of assessed value. So we're very proud of our low tax rates here. Some highlights for FY25. Number one, we have the return of the Public Housing Authority as a county government department after about a 12-year hiatus. We have funding slated for the volunteer fire departments and ambulatory providers, volunteer services. With broadband, we're continuing to support the expansion of our public fiber network countywide. This will include the long driveway grant program for long driveway homes in the northern part of the county. And welcoming the additional ISP and television providers countywide. We've got several more coming to provide those services, so we have some competition. We've increased support for Chesapeake College, our public library systems, and our court systems. And our budget includes funding for continuing commitments to support our dynamic workforce, our critical staff positions, and employee recruitment and retention actions. We've also included PAYGO funding for the capital projects account at $3 million. For our Board of Education, some highlights here for the Board of Education's operations. We've locally funded the Board of Education at $73.9 million, which is $5 million above the FY24 allocation. It's also $5.8 million above the enrollment-based maintenance of effort calculation. This is our second consecutive year of over a 7% increase to the Board of Education. We've allocated $13.7 million above the maintenance of effort over the past 3 years combined, and we are well positioned to meet all of the blueprint requirements by the state time frame, which is FY 2027. On the capital side, we've funded the Board of Ed at $14.8 million in FY25, which is 52% of all Capital County projects in 25. Projects over the 6-year term also include the Centerville Middle School, Mattapique Middle School roof replacement, school furniture replacements, multi-school HVAC replacements, and some others that I'll get into shortly in the presentation. This slide is just a simple pie chart that shows the revenue breakdown of all of our revenue streams. And as I mentioned earlier, income tax and property tax are the largest. Income tax at 44%, property tax at 43% makes up the lion's share of all of our revenue streams. We have some other local taxes that add up to about 7% and some other smaller amounts as well. This next series of slides shows the actual numeric breakdown of the pie chart that I just displayed. Shows all of the revenue sources, the revenue streams. It also shows what we collected in FY23 is the actual in the first column. The second column shows the FY 2024 adopted budget, this year's budget, and then the FY25 proposed budget, and then the change between FY24 and 25. So you can see how those numbers have changed over those years. So leading off the top, again, real personal property taxes, $82.6 million, income taxes at $83 million, and they're pretty much even. Moving down a little bit lower, you can see recordation taxes at $6.5 million, and transfer taxes at $2.3, so they're down a little bit from prior years because real estate sales is a little off due to the higher interest rates. But under miscellaneous, you'll see we are collecting a little bit more on the interest side from revenues we have in the bank, so that is helping us in that regard as well. So overall, the total revenues, again, for FY25 is $191,173,501, which is about $7.6 million above what we saw in FY24. Oops. There we go. All right, this next pie chart shows the expenses by function. Similar to the revenue pie chart, this shows where the money gets budgeted and expensed. The Board of Education comes in at the highest allocation at 42% of the overall budget, followed by 17% for other agencies, which include the court system, the state's attorney's office, the sheriff's office, to name a few, our health department, social services. There's several others, but that combines 17% of the expenses. After the other agencies, we have a public safety group, which is our Department of Emergency Services and Detention Center, followed by Public Works, which has a variety of departments, County Administration, 5%, Parks and Recreation, 4%, to name those allocations for those departments. This series of slides shows the actual expended numeric values for the pie chart that we just discussed. First group is the county administration, which includes all of the support group departments, including the county commissioners, our budget and finance office, IT, human resources, economic development and tourism, our QACTV 7 group, and community affairs. And our FY25 allocation for those groups is $10.2 million. Next group is community services. This includes our Department of Aging, Housing and Community Services, our local management board, our newcomer this year, the Public Housing Authority, at $500,000. Total for that group is $4.5 million. At the bottom of the slide here, we have our planning and zoning group. That's one department at just shy of $3 million for FY25. Next, we have the public safety group, which is the detention center and emergency services. They come in at $22.8 million for FY25. Our public works group, which is a variety of divisions, includes animal services, engineering, general services, our roads division, solid waste, and property management. $14.3 million for public works. The next group is the Parks and Recreation group, which obviously includes parks and recreation, but also the airport, Bay Bridge Airport, and our Blue Heron Golf Course down Route 8. $6.8 million for that group. And that's the subtotal for general county government, comes in at $61.4 million. Then we have the Board of Education. Again, we've funded them for $73.9 million, which again was $5 million above our allocation last year. Our other agency group that I mentioned earlier, which includes a variety of outside agencies that we provide funding for: state's attorney, sheriffs, orphans court, circuit court, our FEC, fire and rescue teams, Chesapeake College, our library, Board of Elections, and so forth. $32.3 million for those departments and agencies. Next, we have some debt service categories, one for the Board of Education, one for general county government for larger projects that we pay debt service on, so that's just shy of $13 million. Then we have some other categories that include general insurance, benefits, other post-employee benefits, grants, non-departmental adjustments at $7.7 million. And then lastly, some transfers to the capital fund. I mentioned the $3 million that we're transferring from PAYGO over to the capital account, fire impact fees, and ag transfer taxes. So it brings us to a total of $191.2 million for our operations budget for FY25. Okay, now we'll move into the capital budget, and here's some highlights. And these slides are just kind of highlights. I'm going to highlight some of the FY25 projects. I'll touch on a few of the out-year projects, but this does show the FY25 allocation, which is the year we fund these projects. The FY26 through FY30 categories are the projects we are planning for in the future. So first we have the outside agency group, FY25 at $2.7 million, which includes funding for the volunteer fire company allocations, the 4-H park improvements that are well underway. We're making a total rebuild and refresh at our 4-H park. It also includes a contribution for a new regional hospital, which will be actually in Talbot County, and this is a $1.25 million allocation in FY25, and we do plan to allocate $5 million towards that regional hospital effort over the next 4 years. Under general services, we've got $2.2 million in FY25, which largely is county facility maintenance, also including the Liberty Building for HVAC repairs and upkeep, EMS Station 400 renovations at $400,000, and a new roof at our health department in downtown Centerville. Animal services, $130,000 for FY25 for some capital equipment. And you'll see out in FY26, 27, 28, we have some larger allocations, $280,000 and $3 million in 27 and 28 for potentially a new animal services facility. Our detention center is the next group here. In FY25, we are doing planning and design for a new regional detention center just north of Centerville, with construction slated for FY27 and 28. You see some larger allocations there. Emergency services, we have $1.5 million in FY25 for some replacement ambulances, for our public safety network and radio subscriber replacements for our radio systems. Next, we have information and communication technology, which we have nearly $2 million in FY25 for continuation of our IT infrastructure projects and our public fiber expansion projects at $600,000. Our public libraries, we have $100,000 for the Centerville Library improvements for FY25. Our recreation department, we have some additional funding for planning and design of a new recreation center. That project is ongoing currently, and you'll see some allocations there in 26 and 27 for potentially a construction of that new facility. We don't have a location yet. That's part of the evaluation. We're looking for spots for that. Department of Aging, we have $590,000 for a new large transit vehicle renovations that are continuing at our Kramer Center and a new senior center camera system. For the Board of Education, we've got the $14.4 million, which includes the new Board of Education Administration building, which is under construction currently, camera system conversions, fire alarm replacements at the high school, Queen Anne's, classroom furniture replacements, playground equipment at Sudlersville Elementary School, new stadium field lighting at Queen Anne's High, storm drain repairs at Kent Island High, floor replacement at Mattapique Middle, some community-based health suites at Kennard and Stevensville Middle Schools, and a new sidewalk from the Centerville Middle School over to the new YMCA Senior Center. Our Parks Department, we've got $2.8 million in FY25 for the continuation of trail development and maintenance and other amenities, and we are working on a trail extension from Mattapique up to the Target Shopping Center currently. General pedestrian bridge maintenance activities and the restoration of Ferry Point Park. Next, we have the Roads Division. We have just shy of $10 million for the Roads Division next year. That includes capital equipment, over $1 million there, but the lion's share goes to the asphalt overlays program, where we repave our streets and highways here in the county. We've got a new Thompson Creek Connector Road planned for connections from Mattapique area up to, again, the Target Shopping Center. We have some bridge replacements in the community of Cloverfield, so at Nichols Manor and Ackerman Court bridges, and then general bridge maintenance at $600,000. And lastly, we have our sanitary district, which is our water and sewer services division, almost $7 million in FY25, and that is for the continuation of the South Kent Island Sewer Extension Project at $5 million. That is the fourth and final phase. It's going very well. Other capital equipment replacement at $665,000, and then the upgrades to the Graysonville water treatment plant in Graysonville behind the Graysonville Elementary School. Okay, so overall we have $45.3 million in our FY25 capital plan. This slide basically shows the sources of where those funds come from. So across the bottom of that slide, you see the $3 million in PAYGO, $4.9 million in grants, roughly $12 million in bonds, $1.8 million in operating funds. We're going to use $15.5 million in capital fund balance. And then we have another category, $8 million, which is largely special benefit assessments that are tagged to the South Kent Island project, which the customers pay those fees back for the extension of those services to their homes. This slide basically is a roll-up of the entire 6-year capital plan by all the groups and agencies. It just depicts, over the 6-year planning period for the general county budget, general county capital projects. We've got $231.7 million in capital projects that are planned, that are needed in the county. And then the lower group adds about another $100 million, and they are all of the enterprise funds, which include our public landings, our Bay Bridge Airport, the Roads Board, and our sewer and water enterprise. So overall, we've got $331 million in capital projects planned over the next 6 years for the county. Okay, some upcoming important dates. Obviously, we're here tonight. This is May 20th at the Kent Island Library. Happy to be here, see a great, good audience tonight. Tomorrow night, we have another similar presentation at our Liberty Building in Centerville. And then on Wednesday night, we'll be at the Sudlersville Middle School for a third presentation and public comment. We do have a final budget work session planned with the commissioners on June the 4th if needed, and then we propose to adopt the budget on or about June the 11th of next month. So that concludes the presentation. So commissioners, if you want to come on back up, we can receive any public comment. I know we have some folks signed up, so. I think Commissioner Moran has the sheet there. You want to read the names off, or? And then as your name is called, just come up to the standing microphone, state your name and your topic of interest, and we'll give you your time to make your comments.
We set it at 3 minutes?
3 minutes, yeah.
3 minutes, and if you could hold your applause till the end, that would be good. We get everybody up to speed. First up, Patty.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Patty Salen, Superintendent, and I reside in Hemsley Drive in Queenstown. So, Commissioners, I would just like to say thank you so much for your continued support for public education. As Mr. Mon just went through with the presentation, we know that we're getting nearly $6 million above maintenance of effort. Those monies are used to be able to provide salary enhancements that are in line with the blueprint, as well as the rising costs of insurance paying for that. So we're very thankful for that. Unfortunately, that's not enough money to continue to do business as usual. As you well know, we are eliminating 77 positions. 24 of those positions are through grant funds ceasing, so we've already notified those people. Those are through LEADS money and ESSER money. The other 53 positions come right out of our operating budget, and as a result of that, some teachers who are very powerful as it relates to our youngest and sometimes most struggling learners are addressed by our teacher specialists in the area of reading and math. So we have reading teacher specialists and we have math teacher specialists. And so any additional funding would go towards restoring those positions over the next year. What I am happy to report is that we do have a table agreement with all of our units at this time. So we're very excited about that. It's a 3-year contract, so those costs are fixed, and it gets us right to where we need to do for Blueprint. It literally gets us to $60,013. So we're very happy about that, and that should be out for ratification next week. So we know what our fixed costs are going to be over the next 3 years, and anything we can do to help us to restore the teacher specialists in the area of reading and math would be greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Matt Kibler. I live in Gander Way in Churchill, Maryland. I'm here tonight as Assistant Superintendent for Queen Anne's County Public Schools. I wanted to, and you all know me as the Blueprint Coordinator for Queen Anne's County Public Schools for the past 3 years. I just wanted to start out by thanking you all for your continued support and partnership in implementing the Blueprint in Queen Anne's County. It's a strong partnership that we have, and that can't always be said around the state, and so we appreciate everything that you do for us. I'd like to point out just publicly and thank you that almost every time we speak, I'm asked to give an update on implementing the Blueprint in Queen Anne's County, just to keep you all informed, keep the community informed, and how we are meeting the requirements pillar by pillar, and I thank you for that opportunity. To follow up on our superintendent's comments, I just want to add that, again, any additional monies we receive right now will go directly to preserving those math and reading teacher specialists in our schools, specifically our elementary and middle schools. Again, going to support our teachers, but our struggling learners and our learners in all of those grades, K to 8. While we talk about Blueprint implementation, I'd like to say that while the math and reading specialists are not directly named as a Blueprint requirement, they are directly supporting implementation of the Blueprint in Queen Anne's County Public Schools. Specifically, Pillar 2, when we talk about providing professional development and support for high quality and diverse teachers and leaders in our schools, but also in Pillar 3, the college and career readiness standard, when we talk about more supports for students in both our English language arts programs and our math programs. So again, while they're not directly a requirement from the state of Maryland, you'll notice if you go and look at our public documents, our implementation plan, their positions are mentioned throughout the document and just how strongly they support our schools and, more importantly, our students. And I appreciate the opportunity.
C.C. Mitchell.
So many familiar faces. Hi, I'm Cecilia Mitchell, and I am the president of the Queen Anne's County Education Association. And if you're a teacher or a parent or a kid and you love public schools, let's just say hi to the folks at home. So to kind of tag off what Dr. Kibler and Dr. Salins were saying, and the presentation that was just given, clearly Queen Anne's County is a wonderful place to live. And it is a wonderful place to learn because of the educators and the staff that support the most important members of our community, and that would be our children. So thank you for the funding, and yet here we are asking for more for those little people right over there. The math and teacher specialists do provide a really critical function for us as professionals and for our students, and at least one of them is over there. In terms of going to somebody and saying, I am having trouble reaching this child, what kinds of resources can you help me develop so this child will progress? Because in the end, that's what we want. We want our children to achieve. When you go to look at a community where you might want to move, you look at things like parks and recs and all the wonderful things that you were just talking about that are going to be enhanced. But you look at the schools, because the schools are the heart of the community. And to lose any teacher is a loss. So the shock waves that went through the system when the RIF notices went out, that's alarming. So we just ask for what you can give us so we can continue to make this school system a premier system and take care of the littlest shoulders who should not have to carry this burden. So thank you.
Hi, I'm a concerned grandparent, and I really respect the decisions that you have to make in this county that have to do with money and finances. And all of our first mission is our children, their safety and their education. And when children that have IEPs due to developmental disabilities, there is more to consider, and their needs are great. And the idea that special needs, special education paras would be reduced or eliminated is ludicrous to me. And so I want to tell you a little bit about Hazel. She's my granddaughter. She's moderately to severely autistic. She's completing her kindergarten year at Kent Island Elementary School. She's had 2 positive years of progress there. As a family, we have sought different therapies, and these people are our partners. And our goal is for her to be happy, healthy, purposeful, and safe, okay? I'm not sure that the budget's going to keep us all that way. Here's an example for you. Last fall, the principal of the school at Kent Island, she decided that special ed kids needed to go out on the playground where there is no fence, okay? Well, Hazel, as an autistic child, she has elopement issues. And so if you let go of her, she's going to go truck right on out of there. And the very first day they were on the playground, she's headed to Route 18, okay? That wouldn't end well. And thankfully, someone went and grabbed her and caught her. But less people on the playground would not have equaled a good ending for her. And so they are now back inside the fenced area that is for the pre-kindergarten children. But I also have a sidebar here. Why isn't there a fence around that entire playground anyway? Okay? I suggest that every parent here that has an IEP, make sure you know it. Make sure you know what is due to your child. Make sure that you know what your child really does need. Go read it again, and then go read it again 3 months later. And I'm not saying that the county commissioners are our enemies or anyone at the Board of Ed. I'm saying that we all need to look at these dollars and $10 million on a board building does not really excite me. I need people in the classroom to help our children. And the other piece is when you have less people, you have children in the regular classrooms. The regular classrooms, if we put more children who need more attention in with them, that adds to the chaos. And I am also a character counts coach, and I go into the classrooms, and I can tell you, 22 kids is a great number, okay? The teachers manage it, they have control of things, and it seems to work well. If we add 8 or more, and we take away bodies in the classroom, that's not going to be really the best situation for our kids. And I ask you, I understand again, you have a huge issue here. But you also have a community that would find ways to help, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Jenny Griffin? Oh, I'm sorry, Tara Lonergan.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Tara Lonergan, the mother of 2 young Mattapique Elementary students, and I'm here to express my deep concern about the alleged plan to cut reading specialists from our school budget due to lack of allocated funds. Reading specialists in our school play a crucial role in identifying reading difficulties early on and implementing intervention strategies that are tailored to each student's needs. Research consistently shows that early intervention in reading can prevent long-term educational challenges and improve overall academic performance. Reading specialists are trained professionals who possess the skills and knowledge necessary to address a variety of reading difficulties, from phonemic awareness to comprehension strategies. Consider the statistics. According to National Assessment of Educational Progress, approximately 65% of 4th graders in the United States read below the proficient level. Furthermore, students who are not proficient in reading by the end of 3rd grade are 4 times more likely to drop out of high school. These alarming figures highlight the critical need for specialized reading support in the early years of education. Eliminating these positions would place an additional burden on our already overextended classroom teachers. Expecting them to meet the diverse needs of all students without specialized support is not only unrealistic, but also unfair. Moreover, cutting reading specialists would disproportionately affect our most vulnerable students, those who are already struggling and those with learning disabilities. These students rely on the expertise and dedication of reading specialists to help them achieve grade-level reading proficiency, a critical factor in their future academic and life success. By investing in reading specialists, we invest in our children's future. We equip them with the skills they need to excel academically and become informed, engaged citizens. The cost of cutting these positions may seem like a budgetary solution in the short term, but the long-term costs, both financially and in human potential, are far greater. I urge you to review this proposed budget. Our students deserve the best possible start in their educational journey, and that begins with ensuring they have the support they need to become confident, capable readers. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Kim Huggins. I'm quite curious about, at the last meeting, if you ever found out who approved of getting rid of Sodexo, the kitchen thing, for the county to step in. Did you guys ever find out who approved it, because you guys didn't know anything about it?
Yeah, one, it's not us, but we don't do question and answers.
Okay, that's fine. Now, from what I understand, the county is going to offer, like the managers, the cooks, anywhere from $21,996 or to $30,509. Now, we have a lot of people that have been there in the system, working for even like 38 years, and this is a substantial drop in money. And a lot of the other people are not, we're not going to have many people, because a lot of people are saying they can't do it. They can't afford the drop. And also they're cutting back on the hours. And that doesn't seem right, especially when you do your best to try and get everything done, and the managers are on their own time doing stuff. Just trying to make sure that we take care of our kids. This is scary. Anyhow, so I'm curious is there any way for you guys to check into all of this? Because this is really difficult for all of us. And as I said, there's a lot of people who are not going to be coming back because they're not being offered enough, and you're dropping their hours. And these are people that really care about these kids, all of the kids. They may pluck our nerves, but, we still care about all of these kids. And this is ridiculous. And then on top of it, we have to reapply. We have to pay for fingerprinting. We have to pay for our background check, everything that basically Sodexo already did, but we have to go through all of this again and hopefully get hired. Hopefully get hired. And that's a big thing if your wages are really this bad that are being offered. And I am a bus driver also. Now, they said that you have to work like 5.5 hours in between. Well, I can't do that because it doesn't give me enough time to go out and start my bus and get the air brakes going and everything else. But I'm not allowed to do it. Yes, is that, oh, that's her. I'm to end? Okay. All right. Thank you if you give some time to this. Thank you.
Bill Kratz?
Yeah, Bill Kratz, Stevensville, Maryland. And as you can see from the gray, I don't have anybody in school here, but any children of my own. But I'm here on behalf of my grandchildren because they're very important to me. And we have 4 of them, 2 different families. And so, we look at this and again, I want to compliment you guys on the letter went out, the balanced budget, all that stuff. Coming out of corporate, I'm retired now, coming out of corporate America, I understand budgets. God, if I hear the pie's only 9 inches one more time, I don't know what I'm going to do. However, this isn't about, well, it's about the money to you, that's your job. To us, it's about the children. And that's far more important. And again, the letters just came out, and I underlined, as we bragged on, the outstanding public education system. And I believe that. It is, in fact, a very good school system. But we need to keep it that way. I understand Kerwin. I watch the news. I know what a problem it is. I saw almost riots in Howard County. They were up there protesting, carrying on so bad when they tried to cut things. I get it. It's bigger than anybody in this room. It was under debate for days, weeks, months, whatever, for the whole state as they fought yay, nay. So I get your problem. But that said, I haven't heard anybody ask for a thing yet that we didn't already have. If Kerwin is putting something in, teacher pay raises, God bless them for that. That's wonderful. They need that. They are undercompensated. That's a great thing. But if we have to take things away so that we can just give the teacher more money, but then if we take away the teacher's help, so the teacher has to quit anyway because now they can't do the job because the classes are so overrun. And let us not forget, I can't be the only one noticing all the construction. The head count's not going down around here anytime soon. If we go to larger class sizes now, people are moving in with kids. It's only going to get worse. Again, I've got notes all over the place. I only put this together the last hour before this meeting because I decided that it bothered me and I was going to come and do something about it. I saw the stuff on Facebook about the class sizes, and I was so upset by it that I fact-checked the Bay Times, and of course the superintendent here, God bless her, she came and admitted about having to get rid of those 53 jobs, but that's not acceptable.
Good evening. My name is Louisa Welch. I live at 531 Kenners Farm Lane in Churchill. My other home away from home is just up the street here, Bayside Elementary School, where I spend more time than I do at 531 Kennersley Farm Lane. I've served there as principal for the last 7 years. And I've been in education for 29 years, 25 of those here in Queen Anne's County, and I have never gotten up to speak at a public hearing before. So I hope that the fact that I'm here this evening conveys how important my message is to you all as a building principal, as a building leader. First of all, I would simply like to say thank you with all sincerity. Many people have said that before me. Thank you for the support that the county commissioners have shown to the school system during my time as principal and over the last 25 years that I've had the pleasure to work in Queen Anne's County as a teacher, teacher specialist, assistant principal, academic dean, now principal. I find myself better off today because I am a product of Queen Anne's County Public Schools, graduate of Queen Anne's County High School, as well as my children, and the foundation that I received from my education here has served me well. I also want to share that I know the task of handling the decision-making for the county budget is monumental, and that it is one that is no doubt also a thankless task, especially in budget season. Everybody wants something. There are many important agencies that are essential to our community that your funding supports. As a principal and a leader in the school, I sympathize with the fact that challenging decisions must be made. So please know that the fact that the commissioners are providing an amount well above maintenance of effort it's not lost on me. But again, I thank you for that support. The reality remains that we are in a very difficult budget situation. This is a time when we as a school system need to make adjustments and potentially cuts to make things work. We are faced with making decisions on what we can handle with limited impact on our students, instruction, and teachers. And while it's not optimal, class sizes may grow. I understand that we have to make those cuts. But I feel compelled to share that my greatest worry for my school, the reason I lose sleep at night, is class sizes as well as the loss of my reading and math specialist at the elementary level. It may appear to an outsider that those positions are expendable. We could probably do without them. They're administrative in nature. They don't spend too much time with kids, but that is simply not true. The fact of the matter is that these specialists have a tremendous impact on our students, on our teaching staff, on me in my job, and on our success as a school. They are an integral part of my leadership team at the elementary level. My reading and math specialists work directly with students every day in reading and math interventions for over 80% of their day. They serve Tier 2 interventions, and I can present the rest of it to you in written form, but I humbly ask that you consider to reinstate funding for the reading and math specialists, and I can present the rest to you in writing. Thank you for your time.
My name is Stephen Wilson, Centerville, Maryland, and I am speaking tonight on behalf of the Affordability Commission, which is the Finance Advisory Commission to Queen Anne's County. And you have eloquently spoken for the necessities of the school system, but there's more to this business of settling a budget and running a county than if you were faced with it you could believe. The county commissioners represent a number of constituencies that do not represent themselves very well. The ambulance system, the emergency system, the fire system, the We have indigent seniors, and all that balance has to be struck by the commissioners in a way that is equitable to all groups at once. There was a time in the county when the county budget was gaining revenue at such a rate that almost everything we did could be accomplished without taking away from another. But the last year or two, it's become plain that the county budget is beginning to slow. A combination of the, the homestead tax and the somewhat diminished outlook for tax revenue in the next years has the county on what the Finance Commission believes will be about a 5% rate of increase per year. And that has to be shared out with all these different entities, which are absolutely vital to the well-being and the health of our and the goodness of our community. And that's a responsibility the commissioners have. I'd note that in the last 2 years, the Board of Education budget has been enhanced by several larger than MOE maintenance of effort contributions. I think in the last 2 years, we've increased the Board of Education budget by 15%, when in fact our county revenue basically over time is now growing at 10%. And the county is in a situation where, with, as you can see on the pie chart, a major element of the expense of running the county being schools, it's got to, all these things have to be fit together by the commissioners. So in the end, I ask your patience and indulgence and the wisdom of the commissioners to understand that they're doing the best they can with the budget that we have to work with. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Patterson. I live here in Stevensville, and I teach kindergarten at Kent Island Elementary. I come to you today to give you an idea of how this budget will affect our students next year. This year I have a class of 21 students, 8 of which have IEPs. 3 of those students have adult assistance needed on their IEP. However, I only have 1 assistant to help me with that. It has been a challenging year, to say the least. Now we are looking at the proposed budget for next year that includes elimination of 53 teaching positions and a promise that class sizes will increase by several students. I'm here to tell you that lower elementary classes cannot keep getting bigger if you want students to learn and be successful. With these cuts, Kent Island Elementary will be funneling 135 kindergarten students from 6 classes into 5 first grade classes. That is 27 students in each classroom, assuming we get no new ones, where teachers are teaching foundational skills that are necessary for them to be successful in their future school years. Research shows, all the research you can find out there shows that small class sizes are associated with improved academic performance, especially of the younger students. On top of larger class sizes, our reading and math specialists are being eliminated. These are the educators who provide interventions to students and resources to teachers. Without them, not only will our class sizes be larger, but our neediest students will not get the extra help they need. I've heard it spoken many times and in your budget letter sent to my home that people move to Queen Anne's County because of how wonderful our schools are. They are wonderful. And that is because we have had manageable class sizes, intervention specialists, and top-notch teachers. Take these things away, and in a few years, we will fall way behind our neighboring counties. Please consider funding our schools at a higher rate. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Mary Angela Weiskopf. I'm a mother of a kindergartner at Mattapique, and we moved to Queen Anne's County about 2 years ago. This is the first child we've ever been able to have in a public school because where we lived in Baltimore, it was not an option. We've had our second child struggled with reading and dysgraphia, and we were very concerned that our 6-year-old his needs would be met, but they have
just done an exceptional job, and it would be just such a detriment to take away any staff and increase class sizes. It's meant so much to have such a wonderful school. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Janet Salazar. I'm the Director of the Queen Anne's County Public Library, and I'm here to thank you for the funding of the library this year. The funds allocated for our makerspace, which is right across the hall here, and the Win-Win Centerville as well underscores your commitment to providing accessible resources for hands-on learning and skill development in our county. By empowering individuals to engage in do-it-yourself projects and collaborative endeavors, you are cultivating a culture of innovation and empowerment within our community. So I wish to express my thanks to the Queen Anne's County Commissioners for your dedication to the enrichment of our community through enhancements of library services. Together, we will continue to fulfill our library's mission to invite innovation, inspire curiosity, and build community. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Veronica. I live in Stevensville. I've had 2 children have gone through this wonderful county school system. My oldest just finished her freshman year at Millersville University and up in Pennsylvania. My youngest is in 2nd grade. Yes, thank you. 2nd grade. My lovely teachers have to remind me sometimes because I thoroughly enjoy spending time with all of these teachers. And I just wanted to stress the fact that if our math and reading specialist positions are eliminated, there will be no support for struggling students. I'm very lucky that neither one of my children have struggled, but I know I do have a nephew that does, and he'll be entering kindergarten at Mattapique in the fall. And on the flip side, any students that are excelling are going to plateau. So you've got both sides of the spectrum where you have the kids that need to be brought up and some, that are going to plateau down because they're not going to be able to continue with that enrichment program. Now, we are very blessed at Mattapique to have a couple programs that our school does, a Mariner Night, which is a math and reading night planned completely and run by our math and reading specialist. Yes, it's a program that we don't have to have. It's a night that we don't need, but it's fantastic for all the kids to come out and to be able to have all the teachers there, and they teach them math, they teach them reading, and that none of the kids feel inferior to each other because they all feel on the same level when they're there because they're all together. The specialists analyze the data from the iReady program and the testing to bring the kids up to enrichment. I know that our reading specialist, takes the 20 minutes that she might have out of her day to make sure that she gets those kids up to enrichment. The STEM fair is planned and organized completely by the specialists, so that would go away unless there's a teacher that could offer up more time than they already spend trying to teach our kids. Our test scores have gone up. Test scores are going to go down with no intervention and no enrichment. In addition to this, MES would be down to 3 classes per grade level, which increases the class size to 25. Do we have enough room in each classroom to have 25 students? What happens if we get more families? There are tours coming in daily, people coming from, I've recently heard a word named Chicago, Illinois, trying to come here because they want to come to our schools. But I live down on the Roman Coke side, and I know that everybody moving down with me is all families with kids. So those kids are going to our school because they're feeding into that. So they choose to live here just for our schools. Since, we earned the blue ribbon status, more and more families are wanting to come here, but with reduced teachers, class sizes will grow to impossible numbers where the focus will be on survival instead of excelling. MES has been very successful with closing achievement gaps and offering enrichment opportunities for students due to these small class sizes and the specialists. Thank you so much.
Jamie Bello, also Stevensville, Maryland, and I can say ditto to all my other fellow parents and teachers and principals up here. Our math and reading specialists are super important. My children would not be reading if it wasn't for them. MES, as you know, is a National Blue Ribbon of School. This year, we're currently in the 90th percentile for MSDE, which is at the top 10% in the state. Our students have shown significant growth, including my kids. Eliminating these positions will just be detrimental to the whole entire school system. Aside from tutoring the kids, they analyze data points, plan with teachers and tutors to support the students, whether it's for intervention or enrichment, communicate student growth to the families, help coach the teachers, provide resources, attend IEP meetings, oversee iReady assessments, provide professional development to the staff, and countless other jobs. I'm not a CPA, but I recently researched the Board of Ed financial reports. So next year, this year, and last year, they were in deficits. The prior 3 years, they put money in the fund balance. So while we are concerned about losing the math and reading specialists, we're also concerned with the deficits and what's going to happen the next 5 to 10 years. And where's the plan to get back on track, to get back putting money into the fund balance? So thank you for the time to speak, and we're also considered giving more money to the school systems. We greatly appreciate it.
Mr. President, Commissioners, I'm here on behalf of Chesapeake College. My name is Cliff Coppersmith. It is my privilege to lead at a great institution. I simply want to thank you for your support of our budget this year. We faced a significant cut from the state this year, which I also want to thank you for your advocacy for the college, in which we were able to get some of that back this year. And as it was, we did have to cut about $700,000 from our budget, which we've accomplished through not filling vacant positions and not hiring new positions in the coming year. But all of you are advocates for Chesapeake. I really appreciate the leadership on that behalf. And we did find out across the state that our counties value our community colleges. And I think you all made a difference in that effort. So again, thank you very much.
Hi, we're Tiffany and George. Our son's in 7th grade at Stevensville Middle School.
Sorry to interrupt. Did he get the last name right?
Pierce.
Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So our son's in 7th grade at Stevensville Middle School. He was in an IEP program all of elementary school through the end of 6th grade for reading and speech delay. For his program, he saw a reading and a speech specialist several times a week. He would not have advanced and be thriving now if it were not for this service. With specialist cuts, other kids won't have as much as an opportunity as our son did. There were many times in class he would need extra help from the teacher to read through something or for them to help him comprehend what he was reading. With teacher cuts in larger classes, he may not have been able to get the help he needed that his teachers were able to give to him. The county is continuing to grow, and class size is just going to continue to rise more and more, putting more kids at risk. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to say that I can't imagine a school without math and reading specialists. I have the privilege as a school counselor to take newcomers around from all over the United States, actually. And one of the first things they say to me is, gosh, we've heard so much about Queen Anne's County. We can't wait for our child to start here. And I just swell with pride when I hear that. I've worked in a lot of different districts around the country. I'm quite old, but I am very proud to be here. And if there's any possible way that we can keep our reading and math specialists, it's just vital. There's a direct link. I see it every day, to a child's mental health and their ability to achieve. If they're achieving, they're happier. And our teacher specialists break down reading, they break down math so that children understand what they're learning. Because a lot of reasons why children don't come to school is because they don't understand why they have to learn a certain thing. The specialists help us and help their children learn that. So thank you for the time. Everybody have a nice evening.
Good evening. My name is David Cherry, and I'm a teacher in Queen Anne County for 18 years at Mattapique Elementary School. The staff and teachers there are the finest staff that I have ever worked with. People move to Queen Anne County so their children can go to school and other fine schools in the county. We provide daily opportunities for students to learn, to grow, develop. This is achieved through classroom teachers, para-educators, math and reading specialists, and leadership. The proposed cuts that are outlined would be catastrophic to our school system. Without extra instruction from these teachers, students will not get reading or math intervention, enrichment opportunities, and the extra care and love we have always provided. A reduction from 4 classrooms to 3 classrooms would mean more students per teacher with less opportunities for one-on-one and small group instruction in the classroom. Aside from cutting reading and math specialists, many of our most recent hires may lose their positions. Our newest teachers bring new life and energy and ideas into our classroom. Losing these teachers would be a huge loss to our students and the community. As teachers, we are responsible for covering lunch duty, which means there will only be 2 teachers to supervise recess. This is a safety issue. A reduction in force in our cafeteria means limited choices for meals and maybe prepackaged meals. 1 lunch line, which means kids will have to eat in a hurry or hurry up to eat before the next lunch shift comes. Again, another safety issue. Our students are the county's future. I realize you have been generous in funding the public school this year, but please, please consider additional funding so these essential positions are not eliminated from our school. Thank you very much.
Let's see, the next item, Chester Sadowski.
Hi, my name is Chester Sadowski. I don't think you should cut teachers' jobs. All the teachers are really nice. And if you cut teachers and staff, it would be harder for other teachers to teach the students. If there are a lot of students, it would be hard to help them. For example, if a student is stuck and the other student are ahead, it will be harder to help the student that is stuck. Learning will not be the same. And the school will not be as good as it used to be. Because all of the teachers and staff matter. Thanks for your time. Hi, my name is Allison Sadowski, and I am a student at Mattapique Elementary School and a Character Counts ambassador. I am here tonight to let my voice be heard. Queen Anne's County is supposed to be about the people, and if you have less teachers, then people may not want to stay here. I think we should not cut teachers' jobs because if one person falls behind, he or she can't be helped as easily because there will be too many students in the classroom. If we lose teachers, then I might not get the help that I need in school. From my perspective, teachers are not just here to help us, they're here to help us grow every year. My teacher means a lot to me, and they should mean a lot to you too. Thank you for your time.
Honestly, I'm not really good at the public speaking. They pretty much said everything for me. As these men and women here, let me just read what I wrote down. I'm sorry, that's all. Cutting teachers and specialists from our school shouldn't even be an afterthought. These men or women are essential to our county's educational standards that we have reached and maintained to become one of the top in the state. As our county grows, so does our student population. If we begin cutting back our teachers and specialists, the student-to-teacher ratio will reach a point where these achievements will fall. Students will not receive the same education they are now. There will just not be enough staff to teach them, and they will not succeed as they have been in the past. That's all I got.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Matthew Vick. I live down on Utah Road on Roman Coke side of Route 8. I just want to thank you for the time to speak tonight. As a veteran and proud father of a fourth grader at Mattapique Elementary, I just want to say that you have a hard job. I get that. We all get that. However, most of the people in this room that are teachers and educators, they worked through the pandemic, right? They had a hard job, right? So we need to make sure that we have the ability, if we can, to provide for those teachers and educators that did those hard jobs. Not to say that nobody else had a hard job through the pandemic, but they were in the classrooms, they were online, they were on the video chats every day, making sure kids didn't fall behind. And what I saw on there was a $5 million proposed, I guess, allocation, $1 million over 5 years. I believe that's correct. However, for the Board of Education, there was a 1-year allotment of $10 million. I would ask that you look at a similar approach. That way we can save a little bit of money and be fiscally responsible. As a prior commander, if I didn't allocate my budget correctly, that means troops didn't get the correct materials, correct training, and correct equipment to do their job effectively, mitigating a lot of things that could effectively end their life. So what I'm trying to ask and say today is that let's not do that to these kids. Okay, the kids that fall behind, they need somebody to be there and support them, and that's what these educators do. Thank you.
Okay, so I don't want to butcher this one. Eden? Is it Eden? There you go. What's your last name for me?
Green. Okay. Green. Okay. Hi, I'm Eden, and I go to Mattapique Elementary School. I'm here to represent the specialist teachers. I go to the math enrichment, and my teacher is Miss Harold. Miss Harold, it's really fun, and it gives me a challenge away from my normal class. I really love and enjoy this enrichment class, and I look forward to it every day. If you cut some of the teachers, there might be multiple students in a class. This means that some students might not get the time that they need to catch up to some students that are more at a higher grade level than they are. Thank you for your time. Hi, my name is Isla Green, and I'm in 4th grade from Mattapique Elementary School. I am here for supporting the math and reading enrichment specialists because they help kids catch up if they are in a lower grade level than other kids. And higher grade level kids, they get to go to the math and reading specialists, and they help them get better. This is important to me because I go to math enrichment, and it's fun, so me and a few other kids get to go again, and it makes you want to go again. Thank you for this time for me speaking. Have a good evening.
I don't think I actually wrote my last name, so I apologize. I want to just reiterate what a lot of parents said here. I wrote 3 pages, which I won't bore you with, but I thought my kids would actually be able to speak to the benefit of having math and reading specialists better than I could. I will simply submit my written comments to you, and thank you for everything you do.
The awards. There's 2 of them, right? Carolyn and
Hi, I'm Carolyn Ward. This is Aubrey Ward, and we live in Stevensville, and I'm here tonight to advocate for my children and for the educators of Queen Anne's County. The number one reason my husband and I moved here was for the school system. We came here from Annapolis, and we couldn't send our kids to school there. So, pregnant with my son, my oldest, we moved here to Queen Anne's County because the education and the reputation for high-quality education. My children have attended Mattapique Elementary and Mattapique Middle Schools, and many of those teachers are in this room tonight. And I'm so thankful for them, for their support in the education that they provide to my children, both before the COVID pandemic, during the COVID pandemic, and after. We have used both the reading and the math specialist for various needs. Without that, we wouldn't have the abilities to grow in our education and in our learning and our confidence within the classroom. And I think it's very important that you reconsider what you are doing with your balancing of the budget. You've underfunded the schools for what they need to operate effectively, and that's just to keep the schools in their current conditions. So I'd ask that you please reconsider the budgets for our children, for the growth of our county, and for these awesome educators that are in this room tonight. So please reconsider. Thank you.
So I am not Shawnee Holtman, but she had to leave for her daughter, so I told her when her name was called, I would come up in her behalf. My name is Stephanie Grottendick. Thank you. I want to start off by saying thank you guys for always funding our schools and doing everything that you do for Queen Anne's County as a whole. I want to start off by saying also that I am a product of Queen Anne's County Public Schools. I went from kindergarten all the way to Ken Island High School. Went to another county after college to teach nearby, came back to Queen Anne's County because I missed it. It was the reason I wanted to become a teacher, 2nd grade at Ken Island Elementary School, and here I am today teaching 2nd grade at Mattapique Elementary School. Another reason that I came back to Queen Anne's County was because they had reading and math specialists. My county did not have that. Sitting in my interview and seeing the panel and hearing, oh my gosh, okay, principal, teacher specialist, reading specialist, math specialist, guidance, wow, so much support. It blew my mind that I was going to be able to hopefully teach in a county where I felt supported and I could have so many resources to offer. I truly believe that I became a better teacher once I came back home. Sorry, I just wrote down a couple points. Not to mention, in that former county, I witnessed the effects of a teacher's position being lost and then having 9 students added back into my classroom 4 weeks into the beginning of the school year. While that's not necessarily happening middle school year, we're going in knowing that this might happen. I went from having 19 students to 26. Those 26 students were amazing. Okay, I loved teaching them, but it was hard. I could not get to all of them. I was not able to reach each of them if I had stuck with just that beginning 19, and that they kept that teaching position for those other 9 kids to be in a smaller class size. So just asking for funding to help our schools, as you've already done, but if we could get more, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
I'm Ashley Jenkins, out of Chester. I have 3 kids in the school system. My youngest will be entering school at Ken Island Elementary School. I also came to Ken Island when I was a kid. I ended up graduating at North Carolina, so I moved to a different county. But something that many of my friends don't know about me, but that I struggled with reading and math when I was a kid. I had an IEP. It was, I think somebody had mentioned actually mental health on kids. And I remember my mom breaking down the walls to get me out of that IEP, because when kids don't have that confidence with their peers, it was very stressful. So, excuse me. So it was very important to have that foundation and that extra encouragement and support during testing, during reading. I mean, I remember I still have PTSD from popcorn reading. It was terrifying when your friend calls on you and you can't read that sentence. It's awful. It still sticks with me. And I'm a professional, and I am very proud of where I am today, but that's for the hard work of these teachers and the specialists and my parents and also myself. But without that encouragement, I don't know where I'd be. So that's all I'll say. So I love this county. As somebody has said, it is growing, and I think we need to grow with it, unfortunately. And I know I work from, I was a manager of a intensive care unit, and we talked about budget all the time. And as somebody who, nursing is very different, but we suffered with staff, and the patients suffered with it. So I equate it to our children. So I don't want our children to suffer. So thank you.
My name is Benoit Cossard, so you hit it well. We heard a lot tonight about some of the needs that many of those folks here represent. We also heard from Mr. Wilson how delicate of a job it is to balance a budget, and I get that. And I understand that there are many line items that come into this, but actually, when I look at those line items, I see on the county administration expenditure, I see a growth from $9.3 million to $10.2 million. That's nearly $1 million increase, which is about a 10% increase year on year. I see also on the next page, the other agency, a major agency, is the sheriff's office. We understand that's really important, and that is showing us 13% increase from 11.8 to 13.4 million. So between those two items, the county administration and the sheriff's office, that's a total of $2.5 million increase year on year. That's 12%. So my question is this: as commissioners, how do you justify a 12% increase when the inflation was 3% increase during that time, and the consumer price index was 4.7%? So we're looking at, between those major items, about 2 or 3 times the rate of either inflation or consumer price index. Thank you very much.
Again, yeah, we actually were under the impression that was a sign-in sheet, so I hadn't actually prepared anything. But, you know, I do work with budgets. I work in finance, and I understand that they're very cyclical. These cuts today are only going to mean, you know, further hiring in the future, and it may be another commission. And at that point, you know, we're going to be facing potentially problems with this school system and cracks in the school system. So I'd just like to say, you know, after hearing everything today, you know, let's try and prevent that from happening. Let's find another way of trying to crack this nut, you know, and try and fix it now. But yeah, thank you very much for your time. Thanks very much.
Good evening. I come to you first as a parent who has 2 children in the elementary school, and I come to you secondly as a high school math teacher. You've heard a lot from elementary school teachers, and I will tell you what this looks like from my perspective. If you are going to increase class sizes and remove the support, you will create gaps. And those gaps will build every year until they get to me. And they hate math. And they hate school. It's as if you balanced your budget and you had a deficit. And you let that deficit build for 10 years. You would not be able to function with your budget. And that's what you're going to do to our school system. Please don't let us go down this path. I thank you for all the money you have given us, but I'm going to ask you for more. Our children are the most important thing in this world. I'm sorry, I cried on you. Find it somewhere. I know I'm asking you for a huge task, but you're going to give me a bigger task 10 years down the road if you let this happen. Thank you.
Connie Holiday. Amy Sewell. Kim Alvarez. No Kim? Megan Coon?
Hi, I'm Megan Kuhn. I have 3 children in the Queen Anne's County Public School System, a high schooler and 2 at Mattapique Elementary School. I'm here to speak up for the teacher specialists. They are not an expendable role in our school. They are vital. Not only do they serve our children that are performing under grade level to pull them before they get too far behind and help build that confidence and give them the skills. I've lost count of how many moms that have come to me and said, my child would not have learned to read without the reading specialist. That's important. They also serve a role on the opposite end. I happen to have a child that's in Mrs. Harold's math enrichment group who said to me tonight, what do you mean they might take that away? What would that mean if I was still going to be at Mattapique next year? He was very upset by that. He happens to be a child. If you leave him with idle hands, he's, they all know, he needs his brain engaged. It's very important. We cannot forget about those top children too that need just as much assistance, just as much so they don't start hating school. And then if you're going to increase their numbers, those behavior problems are going to quickly escalate. They are vital. They are super important. Please do not take them from our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. So I thought it was a sign-in, but either way, I have a lot to say. So I moved to Queen Anne County back in July of last year for a fresh start. I've lived in the Georgia-Alabama area for the last 15 years. And down there, the schools in Alabama were so poor and so underfunded. The grading, the testing was so low that there is such a huge homeschool dynamic in that area because the schools are so bad. And so when my daughter hit, I've got 3 kids, we're in Stevensville. When she hit school age, we decided to homeschool because the school system was so bad. I mean, and it wasn't dangerous, it was just not very well educated. And the testing showed that. You can look up Alabama test scores, it's not good. When we moved here for a fresh start back in July, because life happened, I never thought I could afford to live in this area because it's very expensive, but wonderful. And it's expensive for a reason. We have so many resources here. I came back, I've since started a business, got my dream job, and my kids, I was hesitant to send them to public school because of my experience previously, but they're thriving. I have one child who has an IEP, and he does need these services. He does need these specialists. My daughter, she's thriving. She loves her teachers. She loves her class. And the classes, for me as a parent, it wasn't as scary because the classes are smaller. But when you put more children, and I know this as a homeschool mom, as homeschool I was teaching 2 children. When you can teach 1 or 2 children, you can focus solely on them. These teachers are in a classroom already with like 20 kids. To me, I'm like, oh gosh, no, that sounds horrible. But you add more than that, and it's insanity. I mean, imagine being in a room by yourself if you don't have an assistant with 25 children, elementary age. I have 3 that are 9, 5, and 3, and I lose my mind half the time. So God bless all of you teachers. You're phenomenal. And so as someone who's new to this area and now making my home here, which I've been moving for years, so now that I'm settled, I don't want to see these schools change. That blue ribbon status was like, I can't afford private school. So to be here and have my children go to such a phenomenal school there at Mattapique I'm thankful for it. And I'm thankful that I can afford to live in this area and have my kids in a great public school. So you guys are doing a fantastic job, and I really hope that you guys allow them to continue to. I understand budgeting's hard. What else can be leveled out or something? But thank you for letting me speak.
That's all we have. Megan? Come on, Megan.
Sorry, just came off the baseball practice field. So I have 2 children in the Ken Island Elementary School, and my husband grew up here, went through the school. Miss Cornish was his first grade teacher, and now she is our principal. And I just wanted to point out a couple of things that maybe some people don't know. That new build homes have to pay an impact fee. And the impact fee on our home when we built it was 19 cents on the dollar. The impact fee goes to public things like fire, roads, schools, police, and the impact fee does not apply to 55 and up communities or condos. So all these new builds that are happening here are not paying into this budget the way we have paid when, like, my house was built in 2017. So we have a lot of 55 and ups going in, and they're not contributing to this. They're also not contributing to our police and EMS system, or the roads that are always clogged up. Additionally, I would like to say about the teachers. One of my children is in the math enrichment program at Ken Island Elementary School, and he hasn't been in months. The teacher's unavailable because she's always helping other people, and they're only scheduled to go once a month. And it's been a really long time since we do math enrichment at home. But if that person who is supposed to be helping the child who loves math and wants to do more is unavailable, what's going to happen when they're gone? There's not there for the children who want it and the children who need it. So, thank you.
I'm Jessica DeRosier. I moved here halfway through last year, so I know a lot of faces on this side of the room because I have 2 very high needs children right now. Though Miss Harold, it looks like you did such a good job with Evelyn. She doesn't go to the math specialist anymore. But I do have children. My son, he struggles with reading, and my daughter, she struggles with math. And just because they don't need that today doesn't mean they're not going to need it tomorrow. And as somebody who did not have these specialists in the school district I came from and I grew up in, I don't want to see what that's going to look like for all of our children
And in addition, I don't want to see a future where class sizes increase. I moved here from this area to this area, and I had the option to move back home, but I moved to this area specifically because I really, really liked what your schools had to offer. And then I met your amazing faculty and staff, and I saw what they had to offer. And I don't want to see a future where we don't have those faces in that building. Because my kids, I would have probably never thought this a year ago even, but they love going to school. I have my oldest daughter begging to go to school and get more knowledge. Her teacher, Ms. Clater, and then even my son, who I had to drag in sometimes, his wonderful teacher, Ms. Parks, has really taken the time to get to know him. But part of both of these kids is the very close relationship they have with their teachers. And I don't want to see that go away because we're increasing class sizes. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody's kids in this area. And I want to see us grow and thrive as a community. But I really would love to focus on education. So I want to ask, please, please, please find it somewhere for us to not lose out on that funding in our education. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Yep, come on down.
My name is Kelly Marshall. I'm also a parent at Mattapique Elementary. I didn't plan on speaking when I got here tonight, but I feel like as a mom, my job is to advocate for my child. And my child is also a recipient of an IEP who does see the reading specialist and the math specialist at school. And I just want to say that if we take those out of the school system, then my child will actually be one that is failing, left behind, unseen, because they're not going to have the time to give him that he needs. Some of his friends are in the enrichment program, so they're going to get not challenged. I see both sides of the board here. These jobs are extremely important for our students. Making class sizes bigger for our teachers means that they can't have these special relationships with their students that they have now, making it a struggle for us to get our kids to school because school is no longer personal and fun and making them learn. It's going to be a struggle of classroom sizes. They don't have the special time to give our children. It is very hard to make some kids like school. As the guidance counselor touched base, you also have to play into mental health with that. If you have a child that is already struggling and you take away their resources, his mental health is going to plummet because he's already behind. Our job is to speak up for these children. MES has amazing teachers, and it would be sad to see any of them go. Please reconsider.
Anybody else like to speak?
Hi, my name is Kelly Stevens, and I live in Bay City. And I have a daughter who's 15 who went through Mattapique, and a son who is 11 who's on the autism spectrum. So he is homeschooled by me through Queen Anne's County. I have a sister who is a reading specialist in Montgomery County. And I just want to thank you guys very much. I was on our HOA board, and we do a fraction, a very tiny itty bit of what you guys do and have to balance. And I know it's very, very difficult, but I just want you guys to hear it from the perspective of a parent who has a child who went through the school system, and she has succeeded and loves school so very much due to everything she was given as a foundational level. And then a child who, thank goodness, we are able to have a therapist who comes in who pretty much provides what we would consider being an IEP in Queen Anne's County, having those reading specialists or those math specialists come in. And that's one-on-one. And Brady's able to say about 5 to 6 words now after being nonverbal from pretty much 0 to 7 with only very few words. And he is able to communicate because of what this therapist, who's our reading and our math specialist, because of that. I wish you guys could see where he is now behaviorally because he can understand what he's being asked because of that one-on-one time that was given to him. And that is what the reading and math and specialists do. My sister is, again, a reading specialist in Montgomery County, and I want you to understand where she gives her heart and soul all weekend long, working hours way beyond just to be able to give those kids that type of thing from the bottom of their hearts. So I get that money is an issue, of course, but at the same token, I would hope that you guys just take it from watching your own child who couldn't speak and would hurt himself because he couldn't behaviorally tell you what he needed or what he wanted, and what those specialists do to be able to help them it's vital, and it trickles into the community later on, because my son is not going to hurt himself or anybody else because he can behaviorally communicate now because of those specialists. So I want you guys to please see if there's some other way to come up with the funds, because they're vital.
My name is Mary Jane Cornish, and I'm Cassandra Cornish's mother-in-law. And I've been in cooking since I was 14 years old, and I've worked in a lot of places. And the children in Manapeak, they love peanut butter and jelly. And I said, Miss Cornish, can I have such and such? I said, why? They tells me, Mommy didn't cook last night. I said, well, you tell your mother and father that I said, keep some peanut butter and jelly and bread in that house for you if you're not allergic to it. And they said, okay, but they love to eat. And when they come through there with the vegetables, I said, you don't like vegetables? I said, you come in my line, you get vegetables. And I said, try it. I said, can I put one string bean on your plate? And they said, yes. And they eat it. I said, if you like it, come back. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for taking the time. I just wanted to say really quickly, I'm Lisa Clark. I live in Chester, and I'm a special education teacher at Manapeak Elementary. A lot of our fabulous faculty is here. We've heard from a lot of our wonderful parents. And I just wanted to say, as a special education teacher, we don't do it alone, okay? None of us do what we do on our own. We all work together. I cannot do my job without our specialists, because when I'm teaching children, I'm thinking, this child has a disability. I don't have a magic wand. I'm still looking for my magic wand, and I don't have it. And my kids laugh because I do have a little plastic one in my office, and I'm like, we can pretend, but it's broken. It's not real, but we all have to work together. And I consistently go to my specialists who are over there, Mrs. Harold, Dr. Osborne, say, can you help me here? This is what I'm seeing. This is what we know. This is what we've done. This is the child's response. Usually my kids are in intervention as well. What am I missing? What can we, and sometimes we're just like, yeah, we're puzzled together, but we work together to figure it out, because none of us alone can figure it out. But as a team, I'm going to say we have worked miracles at our school. We have. Our children are thriving. But if we lose Mrs. Harold, Dr. Osborne, or the specialists at the other schools, our track record goes down. And it's not about records, it's about helping children. We're in this because of the kids, and we don't want to let them down. But we will be letting them down if you let them go. Thank you for your time.
Hello. I wasn't planning on talking at all, but then listening to everybody. So my name is Melissa Thompson. I am an 18-year-old teacher and administrator from another district. But I have 3 young girls that go to school here, and I live here, and I was a product of here. And I'm now currently serving as an Albert Einstein Distinguished Educator for the federal government in the Department of Defense. So I've taught all across the nation, and I've seen, as a STEM educator, I've taught in states upon states upon states, and I'm still proud to send my children to Queen Anne's County Public Schools because I see what's happening across the nation. I see what's happening when they don't have support. I heard one of the high school teachers talking about the detriment of the space that happens, the gaps that are created when you don't support primary education firsthand. And as the role that I'm playing is going into these places and helping them recover those gaps. And it is a tough battle that if we continue to create those larger gaps here, we're just going to keep seeing it grow. You're never going to be able to recover it. And so I urge and hope, and I really, really hope that you listen to what these teachers say, because again, as an elementary administrator in the state of Maryland, we deal with this constantly year after year. And class sizes, I've taught class sizes of 40 at some point in the district that I was in, and it is impossible. And so please don't do that to our schools here, please. Thank you.
Hi, Jim. How are you? My name is Stephanie Lebonsky. I have 3 kids here, and I realized it's almost 8:45, and I told my husband that I'd be home to my 3 babies by 8:15, so I had to say something, so it's worth my time here. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for everything that you do. A lot of people are way more educated on all of the facts with the budget and everything than I am, and I have not, thankfully, had personal experience yet with a child struggling. My future kids could possibly struggle, and I hope that that's not the case, but I am so grateful to be here at Mattapique with so much support, with amazing teachers, amazing staff, and I would be so sad if that was gone. That was also the reason why we moved back. Try not to get emotional too. But we had lived in Annapolis. I grew up here, moved to Annapolis, moved back here because this is where I wanted to be and this is where we wanted to raise our kids. And if this all, my fear is that we hear all these personal stories. We know that we have so much that we're worried about, that we don't want to go in that direction. If we go in that direction 10 years from now, so we've been in this deficit and in this hole for 10 years, what does that look like when we say it trickles out into the community? Because people move here because our schools are wonderful. People move here because they're going to have great support. It's expensive to live here because people want to live here. What happens when the schools are not so good? What happens when people don't want to move here anymore? What happens when the people who do move here aren't seeking out great schools, and then everything just trickles out? And that is a concern of who we're going to be bringing in at that point too. So it's bigger. It's the whole community. Like the schools and our children are obviously number one, but even just thinking like long-term effects of who we're going to be bringing in, people that don't care about their children as much and don't care about their education as much, and then that it's the bigger picture down the road is also concerning just for the community alone. And that's all. Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Moran? Yes, sir. My name is Jay Kenty. I live at 104 Margaret Drive, and I have the benefit of having lived here in Queen Anne County for almost 44 years now. 4 children, stellar educations. A grandson, stellar education. So I want to ask you gentlemen, what would your workload be like if 2 of you had to leave due to a budgetary crisis? Your workload would increase exponentially. That is exactly what will happen to these teachers. Let me tell you this about that. I'm lucky to be a character counts coach. I have the opportunity to go into the schools. Mattapique Elementary, Mattapique Middle School. Your children are in good hands. And I'm not just speaking for those 2 schools. I am speaking for Queen Anne County Public Schools and those teachers and the communities they serve. There is not a day when I go into Mattapique Elementary or Mattapique Middle where every desk that's outside a classroom for small group instruction is not filled. Or if there are 3 or 4 students who need a slightly larger environment, there are offices where they're getting instruction. I ask you what your legacy is going to be. As a teacher who lived through several rifts, Jim Moran, you know what trim was. You know it well, because you lived in Prince George's County. Our elementary school teachers were telling us at the high school level, be prepared. In 6 to 8 years, you are going to have students coming to your classroom, I taught English, who cannot read and cannot write. If you don't think those students had an impact, they were anxious to withdraw. Mr. Kennedy, I can't wait till I'm 16 so I can withdraw. I've had enough. They couldn't read. They couldn't write. You don't think they had an impact? Believe me, the impact is manifold because their needs also increase exponentially when they go out into the world and they don't have diddly squat to offer. And that was back in the 90s and the 80s. Their world is much different now and so much more demanding. You will be long retired, but what is your legacy going to be? Are you going to find a way to restore those funds? As God is my witness, I hope you do. Because the future of this county, its education right now and for the long term depend on your decisions. So thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Please don't cut off teachers because they prepare us for the future, for college, for our jobs, and that helps us learn our education a lot. Thank you for your time.
Is this Bruce? Yes, it is on. Sorry to yell at everybody there. I wrote down a couple of notes, but first I wanted to say to all of you that are here and everybody that showed up, thank you so much for showing up, but most importantly, thank you for advocating for your positions and doing it professionally, politely. We don't always get that. We would be shocked if you saw some of the messages that we get from people, but your position is much stronger when you do it the way you did today. So I thank you, and I think you set a good example for the children that were here as well. It's important. It's a tough job during budget season. We're not the Board of Education, so we don't decide what gets cut. We just get an amount that we have to approve. And part of the reason we have this process of having these hearings after we initially put the budget out is so we can hear from the people. Did we have any blind spots in the way we were preparing the budget? Is there some projects that we were overlooking? And so when you guys come out and you participate, it's extremely helpful for us as the commissioners to hear from you. So thank you for doing that. I know all the commissioners appreciate so much what our educators do in Queen Anne's County. I'm a product of Queen Anne's County education. I graduated from the best high school in Queen Anne's County, and my daughter goes to the second best here on Kent Island. All 3 of my daughters have attended schools, public school in Queen Anne's County. The Mattapique contingent here probably knows them pretty well. You guys showed up in force. I'm glad to see that. Amazing school. I've always been supremely impressed, in particular with Mattapique, because I've had a lot of experience with them. So thank you for coming out and doing all that. There's a couple of things that I wanted to touch on, because as we do these hearings and we hear from people, sometimes we hear things that people are saying that there's some corrections we can make just so you have better information. This isn't, we have 2 more hearings to do. We have a lot more decision making before the budget is final, but it's important that the right information is out there. As we heard earlier from somebody who worked from Sodexo, the school cafeterias, They are obviously very important. That is not a function of the county commissioners. That is, the Board of Education is a separately elected board that makes decisions about that. So we understand, we hear, but we don't have any jurisdiction over the Board of Ed's decisions on those issues. There's another election that you can deal with Board of Ed. I don't see any of the Board of Ed members here right now, but go to their meetings, talk to them. It's not that your concerns don't matter. It's just that we don't have any control over. But I wanted to make sure that we made that clear. There's talk about enrollment in the houses being built. Student enrollment is down in Queen Anne's County right now. We're down about 350, and despite that, as the commissioners, we've been increasing spending because we do have a commitment to education. There was a mention about the impact fees, and it's slightly correct about impact fees, but some of the senior housing, their money is on that board, right? There's recordation tax, property tax, an income tax, a significant amount from the senior housings that do go to pay for education. Most of the development that you see, the vast majority of it is stuff that was in the pipeline before we became commissioners. But we've all benefited, all of you and all of us, from those because there's a significant amount of revenue that comes in from that. That pipeline isn't continuing. There is less and less development, which makes our job as doing the budget even more difficult because, as former Commissioner Wilson mentioned, some of those increases in revenues that we've had in the past are not going to continue in the future as a result. You're not going to see the same amount of growth in Queen Anne's County as you have in the past because we don't have that same pipeline. And that's where there's this balance of what do you have new coming in, make sure you have revenue. The 3.2% income tax that Todd talked about, that's as high as it can go by state law. We can't raise income tax any higher. So we have a finite pool of what we can work with. And if you try to raise property taxes in Queen Anne's County, trust me, as much as you all filled this room, it would be a lot more people in here, and particularly when we go up North County, who would be against that. So we try to work with what we have. There are non-exciting stuff about county government, right? People talk about, well, why'd you spend money on this and that? Nobody ever calls us up and said, we want you to buy a new trash truck for Parks and Rec, right? And no one ever calls us up and says you need new mowers, right? But these are things you need in order to have the county functioning, and you have to spend money on things like a new Board of Ed building. People might say, well, why do you need to do that? That current building is over 100 years old. And if you were to tour it and you were to see the condition of it, you would understand why those are not working conditions that can continue for them. And it's always easier to push that off, and that has been pushed off for a long time, but that building continues to deteriorate, and the cost of building a new one is not going to get any cheaper. And so what we have tried to do is making sure we're balancing things and bringing everything up to the standards of what we think Queen Anne's County should be. Let me see. I think I've hit some of the main targets here of all of your points are very valid. It's stuff we're going to consider. We're going to keep working away at the budget. Again, thank you all for coming out. I appreciate the proper participation in democracy that you guys showed today. That is rare these days. It's the exact way it should be. It makes a difference. And before I'm done my part, I just want to say, Jay Kenty, thank you again for speaking. I think the world of Jay Kenty. I think he's an amazing person. I wish he had won for Board of Ed. I wish he'd run again, but he didn't listen to me this time. I think I have more respect for him than anybody else I've ever, what he does and continue to give back to the kids. It's an amazing thing. So thank you, Jay, for all that you do.
It's always a tough task following Chris. I too sincerely want to thank everybody that took the time to email us their concerns, to be here tonight, to share their experiences and their stories. They do resonate. I can assure you they resonate. I have a son who's going to graduate from Kent Island High School, and he's my last. We put 3 through the school systems here. So my wife and I are very grateful for the education that our kids have received, and they're doing very, very well. And it's because of the great atmosphere and the great schools and the great teachers and the commitment that you make. With that being said, I also want to thank you for appreciating the challenges that we face when we have to balance this budget and the decisions that we have to make. They're not easy, and the fact that you guys recognize that, we do appreciate it. So thank you very much for being here this evening.
Yeah. I want to echo what Commissioner Corcoran and Commissioner Dumanel said about the way you guys presented yourself here tonight. Civility in this world is lost in a lot of instances. I don't know if you've been watching the news lately. Just here in Maryland at some of the board hearings dealing with education, budgeting, and things like that. And full disclosure, as one of the 3 dissenting votes against Kerwin, I actually sat on the Kerwin funding committee as one of the 25-member panel, and I was a dissenting voter against it for one reason only. I looked at our county and specifically how well we were doing in education, and the one thing I didn't want to see was the state take over our local education, and basically that's what Kerwin did. And then it forced basically what became and will continue to become, because let me preface this by saying there'll be no shortage of money in education for the next 10 years. It will be mandated, so that money will come. It'll come out of your taxes, but it's going to come. We don't have a choice. So just putting that out there. This round of what we're facing now is the first bump in a road with a lot of potholes in it. Because again, like I said, the state has taken local control of education away and taken it to a state level because they want education in every county and every corner of the state of Maryland to look the same. We all know that is not how you do things, especially in education. Every kid is different. All our teachers teach differently. So with the system, and that's why I voted against it, because I looked at Queen Anne's County. I really didn't care what happened in the rest of the state, but I knew we had a great education system here. I knew we were funding it. We were working well, as we still do, with our superintendents and the Board of Ed here, and we will continue to work. And we will work through these issues together as a community, the commissioners, the Board of Ed, and everybody who will come and go through our school system over the next 10 years, because we're all going to live Kerwin for at least 7.5 more. But a couple things I did want to bring up, and since we're all here advocating, all 44 people that came up and spoke tonight, which I think may be a hearing record, by the way, so give yourselves a hand for that. In the budget year going into 2027 is a very critical year in a make-or-break situation with Kerwin, because that's when the state is supposed to pony up for what is the basic raise of the teachers' salaries to a $60,000 minimum. When Kerwin was designed and funded and brought out as the funding, the state said, we're not going to put that on the back of the counties to have to come up with all that money in one given budget cycle. So they said, we're going to phase it in, and you're going to get this big shot in the arm in 2027, which will be enough to cover you taking all of your teachers to that first-year minimum salary of $60,000. Now, right now, we are in basically the 3rd year. We've actually been in Kerwin, Kerwin Light, Kerwin 2.0, Kerwin 3.0, and now we're officially in Kerwin, just so you all know, because COVID kind of put parts of Kerwin off the rails, and now we're back on it. Well, when we get our stipend from the state, the last 2 budget cycles, and you two can correct me if I'm wrong on the numbers, because I'm going to put them out there as close as I can remember. We've been cut. At least last year, I know we were cut about $900,000. So that's $1 million. And that's not coming back because the state didn't give it to us this year either. This year, I think we're cut an additional $700,000. Right? Close? Give or take? Okay. Now, here's my big fear. In 2027, we were due a $3.2 million increase from the state, over and above what I just told you we've already been cut. If we don't get that money from the state, that is going to affect what happens here locally, okay? So what I'm telling you now is, as hard as you advocated here in front of us tonight, take that same passion to Annapolis in the next cycle and make your voices heard there. And let the state know that the counties can't do it alone. If you're going to force us to do this, you got to help us out. So we need all of you to be just as active up there as you were with us tonight. And again, I appreciate you all being here tonight and giving us your views. And we certainly listen to every single one of you. We're not done yet. We're never done until we take that vote on June 11th. So I think that's all I got, because I'm going to leave something for Jim.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm going to echo what they said also. Thank you. Thank you for everyone for coming out tonight. first off, Dr. Salins, the reading and math specialists, how many of them are there? There's 24 of those, and what does that equate into dollars? 2.4 million. Okay, so we have something that we have to consider here. What the problem I think we have in the county is, you know, our responsibilities, fiduciary responsibilities, to fund everybody. I mean, I see Director Haas sitting here from Emergency Services, and our budget and finances in the back of the room. We get our revenues every year. You see what our revenues are, and they were high for the last 2 years. They were high, okay? Last year we gave you, how much of our maintenance of effort? About 5 million, 6 million. And this year we're at it again. But I agree with Jay said, and a couple other people said, when you cut, and we're not cutting, I just jinxed myself. We're not cutting because we're giving 5.8 million, 5 million above maintenance of effort. We're just not funding it to the 10 million tune because we can't afford that. And what's going to happen in the years to come? One of the big things, the elephant in the room, and I had teachers, I still got fond memories of all my teachers, but when it comes to union negotiations, salaries, benefits, steps, COLA, that all plays into this budget. Because last year, if we had the same budget as we had last year and nobody got a raise, nobody would get laid off. Nobody would lose their job. So if we're funding it $5.8 million over maintenance of effort, but we still have to cut 57 teachers, which is about $5.7 million, that's over a $10 million gap. And we need to work on that. I mean, and I honestly think that the commissioners need to be a seat at the table when it comes to the negotiations, because the bill gets, you know, the union negotiates with the board turns around and says, here's your bill. And we have to somehow try to make that work. And I think if we're both on the same page, I would love to see, okay, let's just take whatever our growth is and put it at 45% of it goes to the Board of Ed. And good luck. And you'll see that you'll run short every year. And that's a problem. So, you know, I mean, that's where the rubber meets the road. We need to work there so that you don't ever lose teachers. But you also need to work so you don't bankrupt the system. I mean, you know, I'm one of the first ones that started to cheer with our blue ribbon schools. 4 of them in Queen Anne's County. There's not another county in the state of Maryland that has 4. And they've got a whole heck of a lot more schools, and they still didn't meet the mark. So, you know, I'm all in on that. And we're all in on education. But we got to be able to pay for it. And that doesn't mean we'll just turn around and raise taxes, because there's a lot more people that don't have kids in school that would come out and fight. And that's what we don't want to get into. But it just needs to be equitable. And that's where we need to work. So, you know, we're going to go back. We're going to look at this and see what we can do. But in the future going forward, we have to have a better way. We got to have a better way to get to the end result so that it works every year. So thank you for coming. We'll be at this Liberty Building tomorrow night, and then Sudlersville Wednesday night. So thank you very much. God bless.